Welcome. You're listening or watching the latest episode of Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio. And today I'm joined by two giggle friends, Craig Wareham and Abbey Hoy. How are you guys today?
I'm so happy to be here.
Me too.
Excellent. We're going to have a good time today. I know it. We are going to discuss a fun topic, hosting guest instructors, which I know you both have done fairly recently and do on a regular basis. But until then, I want to make sure that all of the people listening or watching know that this podcast is but one small piece of the Whistlekick puzzle. We do so much here at Whistlekick. You can go to whistlekick.com to find out a little bit more about all of the things that we do, whether it's sell product like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, things like that, sparring gear, training programs, get info on all of our events that we host throughout the year, throughout the country. You can also find out more about Whistlekick Alliance, which is our school owner program. And if you want to know more about this podcast, about this program itself, you can go to whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. And when you're there, if you look at the top, you'll find a little button that says subscribe. And that will allow you to subscribe to our brand new Martial Arts Radio only newsletter. What do you get through that newsletter? Well, first thing you're going to get a free book. Am I going to tell you what that book is? No, because I want you to subscribe for it first. You'll get a book. You'll get behind the scenes footage on things. You'll get updates on episodes when they come out so you don't miss them. You'll get some bloopers. In fact, one of the reasons that Abbey and Craig were laughing is because we were having fun beforehand, and some of that might end up in a blooper that you might find in one of your emails. So please consider going there and checking it out. And then lastly, I want to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick, to help support the show for as little as $5 a month. Now, Craig and Abbey, we're here to have a good time, which I know is going to happen. And we're here to discuss hosting guest instructors, which I know you both have done. And Abbey, we're going to start with you because you have set a mission for yourself pretty much this year in having people come and teach at your school. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So this year I've been tasked with trying to make the seminar schedule for my school, and my goal has been at least 2 seminars a month. And thankfully for all of the really awesome Whistlekick connections, you guys jumped in and I've been able to meet that, which has been great.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in episode 1000 was that, our motto here at Whistlekick is to connect, educate, and entertain traditional martial artists of the world. And one of the things that came up quite a bit was the connections that people have made through Whistlekick. And you have clearly been able to capitalize on that, which seems to work out really well. Craig, how about yourself? I know you have also done seminars at your school with other instructors. Talk about how that goes for you.
So at my school, we do 2 major events a year for that sort of thing. And one of them just happened in February, and actually Abbey was one of the teachers. And the other one is in August, and you were one of the teachers, Andrew. So it's perfect. This is great. What I think is special about it is it helps expose students in your school to a wider array of people that they may connect with. One of the things that I've heard from the event I just hosted like a week or 2 ago was a lot of the women and girls in my school were super excited because just coincidentally, the 4 people who could teach at the fundraising event were all women. And it was really cool. At one point, we had Abbey and I were talking. We had like 8 or 9 black belt women on the mat, and all the younger girls were like looking at them in awe, and it was really a neat thing. And that's something special, that you can provide to people. And to me, it's no different than bringing my friends over to my house, right? Like, I like hanging out with people. I like training with people. And so when I meet somebody at an event, coincidentally, again, not to turn it into a commercial, but most of the people who come to my school to teach, I met at free training days.
Mm.
And they come in, maybe I took their session and I had a lot of fun with it, or, you know, we've had some good conversation, and then I open up the doors. You know, I don't just let anyone teach at my schools. There has to be some sort of connection or something there. But when you find the right people, it's invaluable.
Mm. Now, Abbey, talk a little bit about the instructors that you've had at your school. You know, I know you mentioned you got a lot of them through Whistlekick, but how did you decide and determine who was going to be coming in when, and how you set that whole schedule? And I'll preface this with, I've seen the schedule. I know what it is. I know not all of the people you have coming in are Whistlekick people. So, you know, just talk a little bit about how you determined what you were going to do in that regard.
Yeah, so similar to Craig's vein of like, right, he's inviting friends over. I went on a mission and said, what do I want to learn this year? And found a bunch of people that could come teach me what I wanted to learn. Because that's, you know, obviously that's still good for my students as well. But at least I get to have fun too. And it all started with just a quick Facebook post. Hey, martial arts friends, who wants to come teach at my school? And I got a bunch of people that way. And then I'm also part of a few other Facebook groups of martial artists, especially a women's jiu-jitsu martial artists Facebook group. And I did the same thing. I said, hey, I have a small gym in Keene, New Hampshire. I can't pay you a lot, but who wants to come teach? And I had people reach out that way as well.
Now, curriculum wise, like, curriculum is a bad word to use in this case, not curriculum, but content wise, how cognizant are you both in terms of what the instructor is going to be teaching? So Craig, we'll go back to you. Like, are you if you were to say the main thing that you teach at your school was, what would it be? I know you teach a lot of things, but like if you were to just in general, I teach.
I'd call it, but it's the base would probably be Kempo, I would think. And then
so are you actively out looking for other Kempo instructors to come in and teach, or other things, or does that not matter at all?
Doesn't matter to me. I don't care what the people teach. If I think that they're genuine people who can create a connection and inspire some passion in my students, I couldn't care less what system or style they teach. And for the most part, I don't ask to know ahead of time what you're teaching. If I asked you to come and teach at the school, it's because I trust you. And I think it's good for students to experience all sorts of things. Now, that being said, there is also the flip note. Maybe I know I have maybe my teacher or my teacher's teacher coming up, right? You know, a lot of the people we've talked about on the show, you know, Tashi Mark is my Kung Fu and Kali instructor. If it's him, that's a little bit different to me. I'll probably ask him to do something specific because he'll fall in line with the curriculum we do. So I use that sort of guest instructor, whether it's my Kempo instructor or whatever. I use them as a meter stick for me. I let them watch the students, and then at the end, I ask them on the side, how did I do teaching? Like, what can I improve? So for me, there's a benefit there. But if I'm doing one of my events and Andrew, you come and teach, you know, I don't recall asking or saying to you, hey, I need you to do this, or I want you to do this. It was just, what do you want to do? Because I don't know everything you know. So I want you to come and share something that's in your heart and something that you're excited about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Abbey, how about yourself?
So it's weird because we don't have a main style at our school, right? It is called an MMA gym for the legitimacy of it is a mixed martial arts gym, which is already, right? Craig's school is also a mixed martial arts gym, but it does have that foundation that all of the students get the same foundation. Whereas our school, right, people can have a foundation in lots of different things. And so when I was trying to create the schedule, I focused on trying to find things that would reach all of our clients, as well as I tried really, really hard throughout making the schedule to make sure that I didn't stack all of our traditional martial artists in the same month, right? I tried to break all those kinds of things up, right? Like Tashi Mark's coming to teach long blade and hand axe, so I tried to move him away from other people who were teaching blades and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense. Now, Craig, do you find? Actually, you know what? Pause. I'm going to go back. So, Abbey, do you ask the instructors ahead of time what they're going to be teaching then to be able to schedule them at the right? I don't say at the right time, but like away from you're not going to have two people teaching, BJJ the same month is what it sounds like.
Right. And because of the way that it's run more from a business standpoint, because, part of that is also getting profit into the gym. Kids classes and seminars is where we get our main profit. And so I also have to ask it in a way that, right, I don't know exactly the content they're teaching, but they have to give the seminar a title and a brief description of what they want to do. So even if I've never trained with them, we do have a logistical knowledge of what's happening so we can start advertising.
That makes sense. And Craig, is the same for you? I mean, I know you said you don't ask the instructor to teach this thing, but do you try and get a sense from them ahead of time what they're going to teach, or do they show up and you have literally no idea what they're going to do?
Usually at some point a conversation will happen where they'll ask me, what do you want me to do, or what do you think I should do? And then I try really hard. As an example, when Abbey came down, it was, what do you want me to do? And the first answer was, I don't really care. Like, I just want you to be here and do something. But then once I started to see the other instructors on the lineup and I started to get a feel for what they were thinking, then Abbey and I had a conversation that kind of narrowed the focus down, so that it wasn't a 4-hour event of all similar things. I intervene to break it up so it's not monotonous between 4 instructors kind of teaching the same thing. I laughed when you asked the question, right? Because Abbey and I both, we're very fortunate to have so many martial arts with so much experience in so many different things that when we said, what are you teaching? The answer is normally, what do you want? Which is not a helpful answer. And Abbey and I talked about that, because when Abbey asked me, I said, what do you want me to teach? And then she's like, no, you're picking something. Right. But I think that having the freedom to play in there is good too. So when I'm talking to my students and I'm talking about, in August, I'll have my skill builder day, and I call it a skill builder day because the whole point is every instructor is going to build some sort of skill for you. And so when I start talking to instructors about it, I'm just going to say, do you want to come participate? And the goal is to enhance a skill. I don't care what skill you choose to enhance. You can enhance anything, and then if they say, well, I'm really struggling, then I'll help kind of guide or narrow it down for them. But the freedom to play, I think, is the most important part. So when I'm talking to my students, I don't sell the theme of the workshop or the seminar. I sell the fact that this person is coming to the school and they're a great person, and you should train with them.
Yeah. And that segue is great. That's a great segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is how the students are receiving these types of seminars. So, we've got kind of two ends of the spectrum here in front of me. Craig, you only do essentially, by what it sounds like, two events a year where you hire or you host multiple guest instructors on one day. And Abbey, you're the other side where you're doing, two, basically every other week, a different guest instructor coming in teaching something else. So you're looking at 26 seminars a year essentially. Abbey, we'll start with you. How does your student body react to having all of these seminars so close to each other?
So I think it would be worse if I had all jujitsu like in February, right? Because then we'd have the same clients trying to go to the same both all of the same seminars at the same time, which would financially, right, not be feasible. Because we have such a broad clientele, and I try my best to space out the seminars where they are, we've had really awesome feedback from it. Everybody, this has been the first year that we've done it this way. I kind of got onboarded for this year. And we've had great feedback. People really like seeing that all of these really awesome people want to come to our school. And while they might not be able to make all of them, they're thrilled at who's coming and why they're coming. And, we're this tiny little gym in Keene, New Hampshire, right? Who wants to come to New Hampshire? And all of these really awesome instructors are coming. So they've been having a really good time. And every single one has been booked, which has been great.
Craig, how about yourself?
Repeat the question. I got lost in Abby's answer. I was excited. I was thinking about how excited I am to be there in a couple weeks because I'm teaching at Abbey. So
it was my eyes. It's okay.
So my question is, how do the students what is the interest level of the students? It's different from Abbey's because you're only doing it twice a year, essentially. Right. I mean, I know that you have hosted other instructors to come in for it's just that instructor for that day, but do you tend to get a pretty decent engagement from your students?
So last year was the first year I did it with the two big events. At the train-a-thon for Big Brothers Big Sisters in New Hampshire, the past 2 years we had 25 people last year for the first one. This year we had 28, so a pretty good size. And I don't age gap it. It's anyone could come and participate because it's for a great cause. For the Skill Builder Day last year, we ended up with 60 participants for the first one, which was really cool. And then we had a track for younger students and a track for older students. So, and the instructors would swap and have a good time. So I think having it that way helps because it's stuff that can be planned around. And then the other thing I do is I work smarter, not harder. So I do those two events that I host, and then I let them know about things like Martial Summit. And so if they would like to continue to train and grow that passion, they can go do that while Andrew and Abby do all the work. Right. But so to me, the ultimate goal of a guest instructor is to inspire a passion or an excitement. And that can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to happen in these four walls, but obviously it's a lot of fun when I get to host it and, people come and stay at my house and we have a fun weekend, right? Like we have a good time. And that's pretty cool. And then going out to other things or other guest instructors, it's tons of fun to be a guest instructor also, because it's a different scope of teaching. Your goal is to, again, share an idea, something that's in your heart. It's not this person needs to know A, B, and C to get to the next level. Like you're not thinking about that at all. You're just going out and having a good time. And I think so. From the flip side, we've talked the whole time about organizing these events, but on the flip note, to be a guest instructor, which we've done episodes on presenting and things like that before. It's a super fun environment when you get the right gel of people.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. Let's sidestep a little bit and talk about, we're talking about students here. The seminars that you're doing, Abby, yours are all on Saturdays, correct?
Mostly, yes.
So, do the seminars take place during a regular class time? Are any of your students paying for a certain class and then there's a seminar that's not their class, I guess is my question.
Just a couple times. I think there's 2 kids seminars throughout the year. And both of them are paid for by the public and then a much cheaper cost for our current members.
Okay.
And then I teach one, and they don't have to pay extra for me because they get me all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, and we only do the one that replaces a class is for the kids' classes because of parent feedback that when they want to bring their kid to something, having it outside of their normal class time is a disruption.
Yep.
So they would rather not come one Saturday or come and pay a little bit, but have it not interrupt their life.
Gotcha. And for you, Craig, because you're only doing a couple a year, it's enough in advance that students know about it, I suspect, way far in advance. And if it is interrupting their normal class time, it's only once every 6 months ish, right?
Right. Well, and I strategically picked August, and I do it on a Saturday because I don't have Saturday classes in the summertime.
Okay.
So
it's not taking anyone's class away.
It takes no space in the normal schedule. The train-a-thon happens after the morning classes.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
in fact, that train-a-thon, when Abbey walked in, I was teaching a separate weapons seminar. So that day, the way the schedule worked was we had our morning classes, a weapons seminar that people could take, and then they could stay and do the train-a-thon. So there were some kids who got here at 10 in the morning and stayed till almost 5 at night. They just stayed and trained right through and had lunch here and hung out.
Yep. So that covers the student portion of it in terms of the timing. I could see if you were, Abbey, if your seminars were every Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you normally have a Taekwondo class at Saturdays at 10 in the morning, those students that are paying for Taekwondo are showing up every other week and losing a class. So neither of you are doing that. That's good. To keep in mind for anyone that might want to do that, that might want to have guest instructors come in, be cognizant of if you're taking regular student time away. Mm-hmm. But that also would depend on if you're asking the students to pay for this seminar. So let's talk a little bit about that, because obviously if you're if the students don't have to pay for the seminar, then if they're losing a class, they're not losing a class. Their class is just something different. So let's talk a little bit about the student side in terms of how does that interact with your guest instructor in terms of finances. Are these seminars that they need to pay for extra?
So most of mine are. I guess I'll go first, Craig. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
Yes. So ours are paid separately because they're on Saturdays during our open gym time. So that, right, they're extra on top of their membership. And they could either pay per seminar, or if they're, crazy like the three of us and want to go to all of them, they can pay for a annual pass to get a much cheaper cost for all of the seminars throughout the year.
Which I think is super cool, by the way. I think I love that idea. Mine,
I will also admit I saw that and was like, you could do essentially 26 seminars for this one price, which is pretty cool. You just have to have your Saturdays free. But Craig, go ahead and yourself.
Yeah. So for me, when we do the fundraiser, it costs a suggested donation. So I usually suggest $20 for 4 hours of training. However, that being said, if all you can donate is $5, then you're coming in for $5. It's a donation to raise money for charity, and I'm not going to force people to put themselves in a hardship to support others. The other event we do in August has a pretty steep cost to it, as far as putting it on. So it's not, yes, it costs some money, not a lot. On the same note, like Andrew, you pointed out, I give people months and months notice, and to try and make money less of a barrier for people, I offer out a payment plan or things well, I'll work with you. I don't want the financial side to be the downside. But there's the logistical cost of it. A, just the facility, right? Running the facility, but B, when we have that many instructors, the instructors have to eat, right? The instructors have to have a place to stay. Like that all costs something. So, it's the easiest way to share the load. So yeah, that's how I do it. It's got a cost, but I make it as easy to pay the cost as possible, including just rolling it into your monthly tuition.
Sure. And that makes sense. That segues great into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was the finances of running this thing, of running these seminars. How do the two of you work out payment with the instructors? Is it a set ahead of time? Does the guest instructor coming in, do they say, I would like to be paid XYZ? And anything you're not comfortable talking about, that's fine. But I just want to get a sense of how do you determine that? Craig, we'll go to you first because Abby's been going first all the time.
I know she's just quicker than me is what it is. It takes me a second to ramp up. So for me, when I ask somebody to come and teach at the school and they say yes, and then my next question is, what do you charge? Like that's the question. And whatever shakes out from that conversation shakes out. That could be they want to get X amount of dollars. Okay, let's see, can I make this logistically work? Or maybe, like Andrew, we were joking before, right? I asked you one time and you said, just let me train for the day. You not so politely you said that, but you said, just let me train with every other teacher for the day and give me a place to sleep for the night, like, and that shakes out. Or same thing, with other instructors, I'm happy to always share time for time. So if Abby's teaching at my school and she's not charging me because it was a fundraiser or whatever, I'm happy to reciprocate that by going up and sharing time with them as a trade-off. So to me, there's 3 ways to do it. You can ask for a flat fee. You can ask for some sort of percentage, which is normally what I prefer more if I am doing an instructor's getting paid. Because the thing that stresses me out as the guy running the place is if they ask for, $200 and I only get 3 people to sign up for $20, well, now I'm on the hook for the rest of it, right? And so a percentage usually, it makes me more comfortable. And then lastly, the one that I appreciate doing the best when I go most places, I do it this way, is I'll give you time and you give me time. And because to me that fosters that community and that guest instructor culture, which is the way I like to do it. But yeah, I do my best, again, not to let that be a barrier, whatever they want to do, that, because also professional martial artists can't do everything for free, right? We all have bills to pay too. So I try to make it as fair as possible for everybody.
And Abby, how about yourself?
Wait, Craig, you pay people?
Oh, Andrew, we need to edit this out. I thought Abby was muted.
Sorry, just kidding. No, we do it a really similar way. I also prefer the profit split. It makes life really a lot easier. It also puts some of the onus of advertising on the instructor as well, right? If they can convince more people to drive to us, they'll also get more profit, which I really appreciate. We have had people ask for flat fees, and it's the same thing, right? If it's financially feasible, right? If I don't have to charge people $100 to come to a seminar, right, then we can do flat fees. We also had one person early in our gym's history who asked for, okay, I'd like this profit split or this flat fee, whichever one's more. And I thought I was like, okay. But yeah, we also prefer to do profit splits. But same thing, right? I've taught at Craig's school for free. Craig's come and taught for my school for free, right? To try to trade time. Or I've also had people trade training as well, right? So training for me personally as opposed to my students as well.
Excellent. All right. So we've certainly hit upon a lot of things on this. Is there anything that we haven't touched on in terms of hosting a guest instructor coming
in? Not that I can think of. I mean, the point that I'm hoping people take away from this, at least from the stuff that I've been kind of my head is at, is just, it's about connection, right? Like, it's about that exciting thing. It wasn't that long ago that martial artists, you were in your zone and you were in your bubble and you didn't get to exchange ideas all the time or be out there. And so recognizing that we as a community of martial artists are stronger together, It's important, I think, and I think that should be the ultimate scope. If you're having a guest instructor come, some of my best friends I've gotten from this sort of thing. That is actually how I met Jeremy. Was Jeremy came to be a guest instructor at my school. I listened to Martial Arts Radio. One episode, I was like, I like this guy, and he came down, and then he was one of the groomsmen in my wedding, right? Like, those friendships can come from this. And so it's just important to keep that in the back of your mind. Yes, school owners, you can use it to bump up your bottom line and bring income, but also there's the other side of it where you're filling a cup, and supporting the whole community.
Yeah, I absolutely have to agree. I think making sure that it's something fun for your students, something fun for yourself, right? It can also help with that that burnout feeling that you guys have talked about in previous episodes as well. And yeah, I mean, it's a huge community boost, and especially when you're in an area with schools that are unwilling to work with you, or you're just in a spot where there aren't other martial arts schools, bringing in any type of outside perspective to your students can only make them better.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me on this episode, and to the listeners or people watching on YouTube, what did we miss? Was there something that we missed? Is there something about having a guest instructor come in and teach a seminar at your school that we didn't talk about? If so, comment on our Facebook page when Martial Arts Radio, when it gets posted there, or if you're watching it on YouTube, post your question or comment on our YouTube page. While you're there, hit the like and subscribe button to get notified, and the notification bell, so you'll find out when all of our episodes come out. That would be a big help. Or you can also email me at andrew@whistlekick.com, and I'd love to get your feedback on the episode. Don't forget to go to whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. Up top, there's that new subscribe button for our new email list, which is Martial Arts Radio exclusive. You'll get your free book and start getting emails on episodes as they come out. And I think that's all we got, guys. So until next time,
train hard,
smile,
and have a great day.